back again with Chapter 8, the Progressive Movement. So as always, to start off these videos, here is my joke. So, the one today, why was early history called the Dark Ages? The reason? There were so many nights. So, as always, take it all in, pause it, because I know you're not going to be able to pay attention because you're just going to be laughing so hard. But now we get back to history. So today we're starting off Chapter 8, the Progressive Movement. And today really just going to kind of be the roots of progressivism and then what that term means and kind of what it's all going to entail. So first off, describing who were progressives. And you do not have to write this one down. But it's a good idea to look at who progressives were. And looking at this list, it is a large group of individuals. It's not just going to be specific ethnicity, specific genders. It's going to be a multitude of different people. So they are white Protestants, middle class and native born, college educated professionals, social workers, scholars, politicians, preachers, teachers, writers. Essentially what it boils down to, they want to see change. They are upset right now with how the government is handling certain issues. They are upset with the economy, and a lot of it is based on laissez-faire, which laissez-faire was a term that we talked about before. Essentially, it means that the government is going to keep its hands off the economy and just let it run itself. But progressives see that as a major issue because the government isn't helping out with minimum wage and workforce environment, working conditions. Owners, they're taking advantage of that. And we'll get to some more specific examples of that. But essentially, progressive, they're just a large group of people. It's not just one person or a political party, because we have different people from different political parties believing that they are progressives. They just want to see a change. Now, talking about specific beliefs. And as I just got to, these are the people that want to see a change. They're upset with the way government is currently functioning. So the first thing, they want to make U.S. government responsive to the people. And this is done through voting. Now, at this time, and I know we've talked about it before, who has voting rights and basically how all these things are going to work, they just want the representatives to be more responsive to the people. Because oftentimes they're elected, and once they're elected, they can do anything they want to. They don't have to do what's best for their constituents, their state, the city in which they lead. So now they just want to make it so the U.S. government has to be responsive to what they are going to be doing. So that's going to be the first one. The second one is also very similar. They want to limit the power of the political bosses. Now, we've talked about that term before. We talked about political machines, and again, just kind of a quick refresher of that. Essentially, it's a small political group. They get together, they make a ton of promises in an area that doesn't have a lot, such as raising minimum wage, creating more and more jobs. And once they get in power, they take as much money as possible. They are very corrupt. They buy land for dirt cheap, sell it back to the government for millions of dollars because they own everything, because they are going to be the ones signing off on it. So they want to limit the power of political bosses as well. Another aspect, they want to improve workers' rights. And we'll get to more specific examples about workers' rights and things that need to be fixed, but they want to make sure that they have better conditions. They want to make sure they're getting paid more. They're not just going to be paid based off their ethnicity or based off their gender. They don't want to be paid different if they're an immigrant. Basically, they want to make it so everybody has equal rights. They want to clean up the cities because, again, we discussed this before, how in the cities there are people throwing trash into the street. There are people who are going to the bathroom in the street. They just want to make sure that the city is going to be cleaned up because, again, that's causing a lot of disease and just poor living conditions. And then lastly, they want to end segregation and they want to end the Jim Crow laws. So, one more time, I know I keep bringing it up, but we've talked about it before, how Plessy versus Ferguson, how the government supports segregation as long as it's separate but equal. Now, the progressives, a lot of people, they want to get rid of that. And one thing to also keep in mind with progressive beliefs, and I know I just have these 5 examples here, not all progressives believed in every one of these. A progressive belief was this one here, making the government more responsive or limiting the power of political bosses. It's just a large group of people that want to see a change in government. And the last one we'll do today, Muckrakers and government efficiency. Now, the Muckrakers are probably the most influential progressives of the time. And I put a definition right here for the first bullet point. They are a group of journalists who investigated social conditions and political corruption. And the reason that they are so influential, they are not afraid of writing a story. They are not afraid of investigating corruption at a political level. A lot of journalists before this time, they were afraid to do so. They didn't want to have the backlash. They didn't want to get fired. But now these muckrakers, they are investigative journalists that are going out there and they are getting the true stories. Now, this is not like yellow journalism where they're not going to make it bigger, make up stories. They're going to go out there and they're going to find out what living conditions are like. They're going to find out what life in a factory is going to be like. And they're going to take that and they're going to put it out there for the rest of the world to see. And once the rest of the world sees exactly what life is going to be like, changes are almost inevitable. So the muckrakers, again, I can't say it enough, but they are so influential because they are the ones who really start this change. If no one knows what the conditions are like, nothing's going to happen or nothing's going to change. So they are the ones kind of at the lead here. Also with progressive and government efficiency, they support two proposals to reform city governments. And this is going to be pretty closely linked to those machine politics. And with that, the first one being the commission plan. So they want to divide city government into several departments. Instead of just having one political boss, or excuse me, one party boss in charge, they are going to have experts run the city. So they're not just going to be hiring friends. The city council has to approve who it is. And they're going to make sure that they know what they're doing. They're not going to be just corrupt. They're just going to be stealing millions and millions of dollars. And then also, they are going to create a city manager position. And this, again, is going to be done through the city council. So it's not just going to be, again, a party boss running all the finances. But the city manager is going to come in, and they are going to control who gets hired, who is going to be the expert, who is going to be paid what. And they do this instead of the mayor, which doesn't really seem like a lot early on, but the mayor, they were elected basically out of corruption. So by getting rid of corruption with the commission plan and hiring city managers, progressives are right on their way to changing society.